Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is about to get it in. We got a live show for you. We got a special guest in the building. We talking about the NBA Finals. We asking what the hell, and we got a question that Carl Banks is going to ask us. What do you think about it? Here we go.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
If they lying,
it must be half stepping.
ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is back once again for a live show. Get down with us tonight, 804-402-2893 for the flagship show, LegacyInternetRadio.com, live from the den. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Definitely glad and happy to have you all with us tonight. We got a hot one for you. We asking what the hell, as we do every single week. We got our missing child. We got a word from our sponsors. We talking about the NBA Finals. We got a return of someone who hadn't been with us in a couple of weeks. And then Carl Banks is going to ask the question, what do you think about it at the end of the show? So we're definitely excited to have you all here with us on Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. Once again, the flagship show here, LegacyInternetRadio.com, live from the den. So we don't want to waste no time. We're going to get you right to the show. And of course, I like to go around the room and introduce the crew. And of course, first to introduce on my right side, my main man, Carlton Banks, is in the building. What's going on, my brother?
I'm doing good.
Doing good, man.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm going to be a little calm today.
You calm?
I'm going to be relaxed and be mellow.
Whatever, man.
You know, I still am going through withdrawal of not being with my tumbleweeds.
Yeah.
I miss the kiddies. I do. If y'all listening, shout out to all y'all. All 1 through 8.
Yeah, my God.
I'm getting emotional.
Here we go.
Don't start.
He's a soccer coach, y'all. So for those people who don't know what the hell he talking about, he's a soccer coach, and he's going through a little bit of withdrawal because he hadn't had an opportunity to kick it with the little homies.
And one of them just had a birthday
in a
too.
few weeks, and had a birthday. Oh my goodness. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J.
Happy birthday, Christopher.
Happy birthday, Christopher, young blood. Happy birthday. At this time, I want to introduce to the listeners of Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J. joining us for the very first time live in the den. We got my homegirl, Miss Aisha, in the building. What's going on, girl?
Hello, hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. Carlton, I guess, is doing all right.
Yeah, I'm going to be all right.
He's going to be all right. It's good to see you. I'm glad to have you. I know we talked about having you join us here in the den.
It's good to be here.
And yeah, we finally got it to happen. So it's good to see you. I'm glad to have you. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight.
Yes.
We're going to get into some NBA Finals. And there's no better time to do that than right now. Of course, joining us on the live line, rejoining us. We had to have JR in for him last week, but the man himself is back. We got your man K-Dub on the live line. What's up, my brother?
I'm good, man. Peace. What's going on?
Doing fabulous, man. It's good to have you back. And you doing all right, man? You good?
I'm good, man. Hey, man, I still say from 2 weeks ago, I still do the ain't no half stepping. I do it better than all of y'all in there. If anybody want to battle me, I'm telling you, I'm coming for a rude spot, man.
Hey, man, ain't you sitting on the couch?
You
on the couch, right? That means you on the sideline. So
Touche.
Don't start none, won't be none.
Don't start none, won't be none. All right, listen. All right, let's get into the NBA Finals. And Dub, you and I, we talked about this Earlier, we had a segment that we wanted to do. Of course, that didn't work out. And I'll mention what that is in a minute. But right now, we got the San Antonio Spurs 1 win away from winning their 5th NBA title in 14 years. My first question to you is, are they going to be the champions by this time next week? Yes or no? And then we'll analyze.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now let's analyze. Why are they winning? Is it because you don't see them losing 2 in a row, or is it because you picked it before and you sticking with your pick? Because I know I picked San Antonio in 6, and I believe you picked them in 7. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Something like that. It may have even been 6 as well. What I told a number of people that asked me, or we talked about the particular series, the one thing that I said was that San Antonio's quote-unquote others would be more of an impact on the series than Miami's others. Hence being, we're talking about Danny Green, who's possibly, if San Antonio wins, he could be the most valuable player in the playoffs. You talked about, Matter Ginobili actually coming out of his shooting slump from the previous games. You have individuals like Neal. You have Boris Diaw, who, granted, within the stat sheet, you look at his numbers per game, it may not necessarily jump out at you, but he's making that extra pass. He's playing LeBron James tough. So you have Splinter. You have a lot of the Kawhi Leonard actually being a very integral part in San Antonio's success as well. So I'll stick by what I said before, whereas San Antonio's others are more impactful on the game and on the series than Miami's others.
I look at it like this. You got 3 big guns that are in Miami. San Antonio, they got 2.5 big guns, and gun number half, other gun number half, other gun number half. These other bullets that they even put in the gun is stuffing the hell up, and it's pissing me off. I can't stand San Antonio for personal reasons. I haven't liked them since David Robinson. I cannot stand them. It is pissing me off that my Heatles have not taken business in a sweep and just gotten rid of San Antonio. San Antonio got a bunch of old-ass men running up and down the court, making them look sick. Silly, stupid, dumb.
Right.
Shane Battier ain't hitting nothing. Ray Allen just got his record broke. He's sick. He need to go ahead and just say, I'm going to shoot up behind the 3-point line and just shoot all day. He got the quickest damn release in the world.
Hey, Dub, I thought we did the rants at the end of the show.
Exactly.
Listen.
I wanted to ask him who peed in his cereal this morning. Did Tim Duncan come to your house and personally wake you up at like 5:30?
Hey, man.
But you know what, man? You know what? Let's be honest. Are we really mad because of San Antonio? Are we mad at success? San Antonio, you say that they're old players, but outside of Ginobili and Tim Duncan, the rest of their team is pretty, middle of the road team.
You know what I think, though?
Man,
I think a lot of it.
Going.
I think a lot of it has to do with the ESPNization of the masses. And when I say ESPNation, I basically mean people listening a lot to what their pundits are saying, the sports pundits, and kind of following behind them. Because, I was following behind that myself earlier on when I was hearing people talk about how San Antonio is an older team. But if you look and if you go man for man, I would venture to say that Miami is just as old or even older. You got Tim Duncan and you got Manu Ginobili, both of them 37 and 35 respectively. But at the end of the day, people want to put Tony Parker in the old class. Tony Parker's 30. That's not old. Who else is prominent right now on San Antonio? Nobody ever heard of Danny Green before this series.
I ain't
never heard of Danny Green before this series, and now he's lighting it up. And like you said, Dub, I think it's very likely if San Antonio pulls this out and he continues on this course, he's going to be the most valuable player of this series. And I don't know how old this kid is, but I know that he's been recently in the D-League, and you don't get 30-year-olds that's playing in the D-League that end up back on NBA squads. So San Antonio ain't as old as you think. Tiago Splitter, I'm not drinking the Tiago Splitter. If, to steal from the loud guy on ESPN, I want to say his name almost like Rasho Nesterovic, and I think you understand where I'm going with that one, dog. Sort of inside joke there. But I don't see San Antonio being older, and to be completely honest with you, Carlton, I ain't no fan of them either. I don't care for San Antonio. I'm still a little bit pissed off from 1990 when they beat my beloved New York Knicks in the NBA Finals in that shortened season. But I'll be honest with you, I said on the airways last week, I am absolutely passionately against the Miami Heat. It's personal. I don't like that team. I don't like their best player. And I haven't liked Miami in the 20 years they've been in existence. This goes back to the number 10 and the number 33 days of the Miami Heat. So it's nothing new for me, and I'd much rather go with the San Antonio Spurs on a passionate level. But I also said, and Dub, I'm going to let you piggyback on me on this one here. I also said that when you look at a team that's top heavy, like the Miami Heat, and you look at a team that's more balanced, like the San Antonio Spurs, what's going to happen? You got a great team that's balanced. You think they're going to win, or you're going to get a great team that's top heavy, which is the reason why they beat Indiana, by the way. Indiana was a good team that was balanced, and they took those cats to 7. They're a good team that's balanced. San Antonio is a great team that's balanced. Team, it being an operative word versus being top heavy like the Miami Heat are. To that, you say what, K-Dub?
Well, I mean, it's the epitome of what a real team is, and let's be honest. The two teams that are in the finals are basically the two best teams in the league, San Antonio and Miami. It does raise questions as far as how you're putting together a team. Whereas you put together Miami, but then you have situations as far as San Antonio where you have individuals that have been there for a few years and they go into a system. They buy into this particular system. So there is great dynamics in this final setup. I don't know. It just raises a lot of questions if, in fact, San Antonio loses. I'm sorry, San Antonio wins tomorrow. It's going to raise more questions, not necessarily in looking at how great of a team San Antonio is, but more so of what type of team Miami is, because now they've went to the finals 3 years in a row and came away with only one championship. At the start. I guarantee that the way that everyone today on the radio and television are talking about this particular series, they're more so talking about Miami and what they're not doing, and not necessarily what San Antonio is doing to rattle Miami.
I want to give a shout out to our MixLR family. We see you out there. SY, kisses back to you, girl. What's up, Sid? And yes, I'm finally giving some love to the San Antonio Spurs, but you're supposed to be a Grizzly fan. Hit me back on that one, dude. I don't know what that's about, but yeah, I'm gonna pick on you, blood. That's what's up. Colin Banks, what you to what K-Dub just said, you say what?
I think this is what the whole hype is about the NBA. They just want to see Tracy McGrady get a ring and keep LeBron from getting his second ring. That's what it is. Tracy McGrady, shout out to T-Mac for finally getting the damn ring. You ain't played none this season, and you going to get a damn ring. It's going to piss me off to see you get a ring.
Damn it, Eddie Curry got a ring. Eddie Curry got a ring last year, man.
That's Eddie Curry. I'm talking about T-Mac.
You do realize that it's worse that Eddie Curry got a ring than T-Mac. Okay,
yes.
Yeah, okay,
because
good.
he getting one before his cousin Vince Sanity Carter gets a ring. This is
Dub, you hear this dude, yo?
Yo, this is how we hate, man.
Dub, you hear this dude?
I hear him, man. I hear him. But you know what, man? Listen, man. Why would it hurt for T-Mac to get a ring when, at one particular point during the 2000s, he was the man of the league. He led the league in scoring, so on and so forth. The man actually went over to Asia and played this year and then came back over. So, give that man a little bit of due for all his holding the league down for a few years. At one point, Tracy McGrady was one of the baddest dudes in the league.
Oh yeah, he was.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe, I look at it as maybe that's karma for the time that he's put in and a lot of the injuries that he's endured while he was playing. So, now Eddie Curry, man, listen. I say it like this, dog. I'm not in there, but I would have to put a lot of money up in that in the tip jar.
Yeah, I understand that too, but see, T-Mac getting a ring before Vince Sanity gets a ring, I got a problem with that. Okay, again, I'm going back to my fact that I hate the San Antonio Spurs.
That may be a whole nother subject, or a whole nother section, because I could probably argue on that.
Let's kind of wrap up the conversation on the finals real quick by asking the question, Dub, to you. Excuse me. What does Miami have to do to win 2 straight games to repeat as the champions, and can they do what it is that needs to be done in your opinion?
Well, they have the capability. You know, the one thing that they do have on their side is that they have the next 2 games in a row. You know, I think that their others have to play. Udonis Haslem has to be a factor in the game. You have to get more production probably out of Mario Chalmers. You have to get more production out of Mike Miller, who didn't have any points. And this is one of the things that I was saying that Miami was in trouble when I was speaking to a number of people about this, is that when you're in the finals and you start to tinker with different things that got you to the dance, that's when I see that you're rattled by whatever the other team does. And if you notice the last 2 games, Mike Miller started, and Mike Miller did not score last night. You know, he ended the game with 5 rebounds, 0 points, and 4 personal fouls. You know, that seems to me that lets me know that Miami is trying to figure it out, whereas San Antonio is just going along. And a great move by Popovich last night with getting Manu Ginobili to start, which basically ignited him to have a good game. He finished with 24 and 10. You know, that was more of just, I'm trying to get a player started, whereas the Miami move was more of a, I'm trying to get the team going.
Now, Carl,
you know, there's different ways you want to look at it.
I'm going to ask Carlton Banks the same question. What does the Miami Heat have to do, keep it on the court?
Yeah.
What do they have to do to win the next 2 games to repeat as champions? I know that you are rooting for them. Can they do it? Or what do they have to do to get it done?
They will do it, and they're going to make sure that Tracy McGrady finds his way on the court. No, seriously, the role players have to step the hell up. You had Miller, who showed up in one game, and he was killing them. Ray Allen cannot find his damn shot. Shane Battier cannot find his damn shot. You got Chalmers, who's thinking he can shoot from half court. It's like, no, Chalmers, your only way you're going to score, Chalmers, is if you driving down the lane on a fast break. Then you got LeBron and D Wade, who cannot work together on a fast break. They gave up an easy bucket on a fast break that was definitely theirs and turned the ball over. They got the shooters are not stepping the hell up, plain and simple. LeBron is trying to get his, but hell, he went 1 for 8 in the fourth quarter yesterday. It was horrible to see him. You got, maybe if you get Bosh back outside the 3-point line, which again is not his game, but hell, he can shoot it. Get his ass back outside. Maybe if you bring Tim Duncan out the paint, then you can drive LeBron and D Wade back in there like they should be, because they are slash and shoot up and whatever. They can get their shot, where the rest of the team cannot get the damn shot.
One thing.
Hey, could I jump in real quick?
Yeah, real quick. Go ahead. What you got?
Real quick. Hey, you know what, man? You know what, Carlton? You talk about, you know, everything you talk about was with Miami's offense, but in actuality, guess what? San Antonio shot 60% yesterday, and Miami still scored 104 points. Normal circumstances, Miami should have won that game. The last 2 quarters of the game, Miami actually outscored San Antonio in the fourth quarter of the game. So maybe it's not necessarily their offense, but maybe it may be more of their defense and the lack thereof.
I can dig it. Now let's do this, because I want to transition away from what's going on the court specifically per se. I had a conversation with a cat last night after the game on Facebook. We just kind of blogging back and forth. You and I talked about this, Carlton. You and I have not, so this will be news to you. This cat was very convinced that the NBA Finals is rigged. Basically, what he said is the NBA wants this to go 7 games, and he spoke to the fact that you've got basically seesaw games going back and forth. You have not, for the most part, but for I think it was game 1 was the only one that was wire-to-wire competitive, whereas every single other game has been a blowout for the winning team. That's one of the things he's speaking to. He's also speaking to the fact that the more games they play, the more money for the more purse for the, you know, in the stadium, television, things of that sort. Now, my response to that is I totally, vehemently disagree with him. Dub, I want to get your perspective for the record. What's your thoughts on it? And then I'll share mine.
Personally, you and I did discuss this earlier today, and I think it's BS. In order for something for a lot of people, for what a lot of people assume or whatever like that, in order for those things to happen, there has to be a collusion between so many different entities of the NBA and on particular teams that it's just, it's out of the realm of, let's just keep these conspiracy theories out of the way. More on a hard level, if in fact these are the situations, understand something. When people want to talk about money, well, what they fail to understand is that the NBA has already gotten their money from these TV stations and advertisements. If it's a thing about throwing games, so on and so forth, it probably would have been better for let's say a team like New York to play Miami instead of Miami playing in Indiana. It probably would have been better that maybe a team like the Clippers would have played Miami. If you really want to talk about money, if you want to start rigging things, do you really think that San Antonio would have won the championship if people wanted to rig things? Do we really think that Dallas, for that reason, would have been able to win the championship a few years ago or what have you? You know, it probably would, if you want to keep it going, you know, if you're going to go all the way there and make these conspiracy theorist ideas, take it all the way there. It probably would have been better maybe to have Oklahoma City and Miami in the finals. You know, you could come up with a lot of different scenarios, and I think that it's a disservice to a lot of players that are out there busting their hump, you know, trying to win basketball games, you know, to say that the NBA is rigged. What I will say is that sometimes NBA officials, we can look at calls, we can look at non-calls, and we can think that, hey, you know, the NBA officials may have a different agenda. But I disagree with that whole premise.
Colin Banks?
I have to agree with you. The NBA can't be but so rigged when you got shooters drilling from the three-point line. I mean, that's the biggest thing right there. If the game was being called in the paint inside that circle, and you know people still making shots and you getting fouls and people fouling out, that's when I'm gonna say something's rigged. But if you shooting the threes like San Antonio is right now, whatever, you can call it what you want. You can't will or pray the shot goes in. That's sheer determination.
Now, the one thing that the brother had mentioned was he was talking about point shaving, but the response that I gave was very similar to what you just said, Doug. The fact that these cats start out in, you know, I mean, be honest with you, a lot of them, they work 10, 11 months a year, you know, and they actually show up in training camp in October, and they work and they work and they work. And if they were the ones taking kickbacks, I mean, let's just take somebody like LeBron, for example, with $20 million. I mean, how much more money do you really think that it would take to get him to throw the games? Do you really think that a couple of more $1 million is worth his legacy when someone like that clearly wants to be on par with a Michael Jordan, with a Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Bill Russell, people like that? I just don't think that it's possible. Now, if you were talking about referees and leaving it completely with the referees, you know, I wouldn't buy it, but I would think that you would have a better chance of getting that argument passed. But if you're talking about the players and the coaches in collusion with that, I think that's irresponsible, and I disagree. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Want to go ahead and transition. A couple of real quick hits before we get out of this segment and we get into the socially conscious and entertainment stuff, which we're going to have Miss Aisha rejoin us for the duration of the show. And thankfully, we also have K-Dub with us tonight for the entire show. So it should be a good quadrant of the four of us kind of round tabling and getting into the stuff that we got to talk about. Dub, two quick hits. One, Jason Kidd retired from the New York Knicks 2 weeks ago on my birthday. I remember getting that news right before we went live 2 weeks ago. And a couple of days ago, he was named the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. Just real quick, what's your thoughts on the fact that you got a guy who has never, ever, ever coached before, who is going to lead one of the, and I shouldn't say flagship, but I'll certainly say one of the more visible franchises based upon where they play now and how visible that location is in Brooklyn, New York. Jason Kidd is now at the helm. What's your thoughts?
It definitely surprised me. You know, kudos to Jason Kidd. You know, the last time that I was on the show, I basically gave him, you know, his due as far as a player. Now he's taking it to the core. I don't have any problem with him becoming a head coach. Just kind of threw me off that he became a head coach 2 weeks after his retirement. But, you know, hey, if he can make it and be successful with it, you know, so be it. There's been a number of people that did not have NBA coaching experience and then went on to coaching and had pretty good success. It's really a crapshoot when it comes to that, because you look at Doc Rivers, you look at Mark Jackson, those individuals were NBA players, had no coaching experience whatsoever. Larry Bird as well.
Pat Riley.
And they went on to Pat Riley. You know, well, I believe Pat Riley was an assistant with the Lakers that year that he actually took over mid-year. But what I was saying was that, you know, a lot of those particular players, they go on to become coaches and have fairly successful coaching careers, but then you have a number of these lifetime assistants that go to these teams and they are not successful. So, the whole coaching thing is really a crapshoot. It's your style of play, whether or not you can get to the right team and have players, buy into your system. But, kudos to Jason Kidd. I hope he's successful, excluding, when he plays the Knicks. But, thumbs up to him.
Let me ask this question, and again, this is me not knowing. What is Jason Kidd race-wise, first of all? I mean, no.
He's what?
He's what?
He's asking you if you know what his race is.
His race is, I believe his father is black, and I believe his mother is white.
Okay.
I could be mistaken as far as but I know that's what it is.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is because, in the NFL, they have a policy of making sure they interview minority coaches, and I was wondering if he was a part of that just to get somebody in real quick. You have a player who just retired last week, and today he's a coach. He's an NBA coach, and I'm wondering if the NBA is saying, we need to get some more black coaches involved and see what's going on with that. I mean, granted, I like to see him. I thought he had a good game. He tapered off at the end of his career. But hopefully he can do well. I mean, he's back home, so to speak, in New Jersey. And that's a big plus for Darren Williams. And hopefully he can get his career up and running just like any other point guard that's in the league.
Well, I'll address that one, Dub, and then we'll move on to the other last thing I wanted to mention. As far as the National Basketball Association, I don't know that you have the same kind of issue with head coaches that you have in the National Football League. You can go around the league and you'll find any number of black head coaches, assistants out there doing their thing. Most notably Doc Rivers, who's highly thought of. You've got Brian Shaw, who's going to have a job very soon. Lionel Hollins, who just came out of Memphis, who's getting ready to have a job soon. Mike Woodson in New York. And that's just to name a few. Mike Woodson is on his second job. So black head coaches in the NBA is not like it was with the Rooney thing in Pittsburgh, making sure that they instituted that rule to make sure. So while I understand where you're coming from a football perspective, and that's certainly well thought of. But I don't think in the NBA it's a situation where it's quite necessary. As far as him not ever having a job before, I think Dub spoke to the fact that there is some precedent when you looked at Doc Rivers, who, he did not so great in Orlando, but you got to also remember that he had just lost Nick Anderson and Penny Hardaway, taking over a Chuck Daly team that didn't do that great, and then he had a poor season, and then he kind of sort of took off there before going to Boston. Mark Jackson didn't do that great in his first year in Golden State, and this year they made the playoffs. And of course, Pat Riley, I know Dub said he was an assistant for half a season, but half a season to me is not really that much. He ended up being a Hall of Famer, certainly not for what he did on the court, more so for what he did on the sidelines. And Larry Bird basically took the team about as far as the Indiana team could go. So there's some precedence for it, just like there's a lot of precedent for it not working out. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, live from the Den, LegacyInternetRadio.com, flagship show here on our website. The last thing I want to get into before we jump out of this segment, Dub, is the conversation that the Los Angeles Clippers are having with the Boston Celtics, an unorthodox type of situation they have where they're talking about a trade that includes multiple players and a head coach. Why don't you share with the listeners what they got going on there?
Yeah, it's a little bizarre. It kind of goes back to a number of deals that were done I would say before 1970 in the NBA. What they're trying to put together is a deal where Kevin Garnett and the coach of the Boston Celtics, Doc Rivers, goes to the Clippers for DeAndre Jordan. What's unprecedented, well, I would say again, what's really different is the fact that you're actually trying to trade a coach. Doc Rivers still has $21 million, 3 years left on his contract. It's very unusual. The Clippers are definitely trying to make moves. They're trying to make moves also to keep Chris Paul there as well. There's been rumors that also that the Clippers are interested in trading for Dwight Howard with Blake Griffin. So, and also just to kind of go back to the Boston trade, what's holding up the process is that the Celtics want Bledsoe, which is the backup point guard for the Clippers, and the Clippers are not willing to give that up, and the Celtics are trying to find other individuals to try to make that deal happen with adding possibly Jason Terry to the deal as well. But again, it's a little unorthodox for teams to want to try and trade for a coach as well as on the court players. I don't know what it's going to look like come after July 1st when a lot of free agents start to make deals and teams are able to contact free agents and so on and so forth. We could see a whole different team. We could see a lot of different teams taking the court come October that we definitely was not used to. It didn't think that could happen for the upcoming season.
Should be definitely interesting to see. Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Real quick, get a couple of comments in from the MixLR page. Steven Sykes of In Live and Radio, heard right here on these airways every Tuesday from 7 to 9, is hitting us up, letting us know that Jason Kidd's mom is Irish American. So translation, his mom's is white. And he's also stating that it was a timing issue with regards to Jason Kidd getting hired in Brooklyn. It was obvious that he was preparing himself for years before retiring. Also had Reggie Theus, who was also a coach, and he still would like to see Patrick Ewing and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar get a chance to be head coaches. He's also saying an issue where you have to get Doc Rivers out now as a coach because he signed a 5-year deal, but now telling the players you can't win with them and how you're going to win the locker room back. I disagree with that. It's Doc Rivers. He doesn't have to win the locker room back. That's one thing. The other thing is he got 3 years left and $21 million left on that contract. I'll be honest with you. They're about to blow up Boston, and I don't know how much they would want to see that team struggle for the next couple of years while paying that head coach $7 million. You know, you'd much rather get a guy in there. You could pay a couple $1 million to go through your transition period. And if you want to get a big dog in there that you're going to pay someone in a couple of years, I could see that maybe happening. But if Doc wants to go, I think I see the Boston Celtics letting him go. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. We're going to leave it there. That's the end of the sports. We're going to get into the socially conscious and entertainment hour. Definitely excited for that. We're going to bring the lady, Miss Aisha, back into the conversation. We got your man, K-Dub, Carl Banks, and your host, Marcus J. Ain't no half step, and we'll be back in a minute.